Today is one of those days where I've got so many different things that I need to do. Sometimes it can be difficult to decide on just one. But I think that I will continue to work on the corral project here just because I've got some momentum going and I want to stick with it. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get with any of this, but I'm not going to get anything done if I don't get started. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. Somewhere now. There. Oh, it's much lighter now. Cracking. Oh boy, I don't know. Well, I got one and a little piece of the other. This other post, the ball of concrete on the bottom of that is gigantic. I mean, I would say it's like close to beach ball size. So getting that off with the sledgehammer might not be realistic. I might have to borrow my friend's power hammer again to do that. But the good news is I got concrete off of one of these, and one of these is really all that I need right now. So I need to run this back up to the shop, and we'll cut like the little pipe here, basically everything. We're gonna cut everything off of this, get it cleaned up, get it back to being a square tube like it was originally, and then I'm gonna cut this in half and use it for either side of the removable panel. The reason that I want to use square rather than round is because I can weld short pieces of angle iron to the existing posts, and then the square will just fit in there really nicely. You can put a bolt through it, tighten it up. It'll be super strong and easy to take on and off if we ever need to. So I'm thinking at the very least, run this home today. It's going to be a lot of work with either the torch or the plasma cutter, and then a ton of grinding. And I just don't know if I really feel like sitting on the grinder all day today. I might do a little bit, but I don't need this today, but I will need it soon. I remember a while ago watching Sunny Farms, and Cole's dad knocked all the concrete off of a post with one hit. So I can only conclude that either Cole's dad's a lot stronger than I am, or my concrete's a lot stronger than theirs. Yeah, let's go with that one. We're back here at the shop now. I've got to do a little bit of fabrication here, make a few parts and pieces, put them on the trailer, take them back down to the corral and weld them into place. And I've been seeing the question, people are asking, why am I not just doing all the work down there like I usually do? And a couple reasons. For one, since we're working right next to the barn, I'm trying to minimize the amount of welding that I do in there, especially right up close to the barn. And for two, a lot of this stuff, the more involved fabrication, it's really just easier to do here in the shop. I've got all the tools here and I don't have to listen to a generator while I'm doing it. One of the pieces that I need to make while we're here today is what will be the man gate. I've got this little gate here that I made several years ago. This actually predates YouTube, because what I made this for was for the alleyway leading up to the squeeze chute. This was going to drop down behind the cows so that they couldn't back up once they were in there. But once I got this installed and in place, I learned pretty quickly that it was way too heavy to use it in the way that I had imagined. So I took this one off, made another one almost identical to it, but a lot lighter tubing, lighter weight in general, and that's what's up there now. Oddly enough, I never use it. I probably didn't need a gate there at all, but there it sits. So what we'll need to do with this is cut this little tab off. We won't need that anymore. I've got to make this a little bit taller so that it is an overall height of 4 feet. We've got to add a hinge to one side and a latch to the other. I don't know why I thought it was gonna work. Crap. This gate's 40 inches and we need 48, so we got to add 8 inches to either side. Doesn't really matter. To make this little extension, I'm going to use some 2x2 by 120, which is 1/8 inch wall square. That's what this gate is already made out of, so we'll just kind of stick with it. It's easier to weld if everything's the same. However, the longest piece of 2x2 square tube that I have right now is not 38 inches, which is what it needs to be. So I've got 2 shorter pieces. We'll just scab them together, make one longer piece, and it'll work just fine. Well, let's see if I measured right. Just gonna leave that there. Looks pretty good. It does have a bit of a Frankenstein look to it, but it's going to work just fine. And once I'm kind of leaning towards plywood sheeting on all this. It's going to hide all these little imperfections and things like that. The gate is now the proper size. Now we need to get some hinges and a latch on it. We'll start with the hinges because I think they're going to be easier. I hope they're going to be easier. It's probably about an hour later for me now, and all my little hinge pieces are done. These take forever because there's a lot of measuring and figuring, and you know, as simple as they look, a lot of thought actually goes into these. But they're done now, so I can go ahead and weld half of them on. I guess we gotta decide where we want them. Let's say 3 inches from the end. That seems good. Something I should have, and I don't, is a little magnet to hold things on a 90, but instead I've got some angle iron. Ay. Okay. Everything that I can do to the hinges here in the shop is done now. They're just really hot, so I'm not going to bolt them together quite yet. But while I'm waiting for those to cool down, I can start working on the latch. The latch for this gate is something that I have given an embarrassingly amount of thought to, because I didn't want it to be overly complicated like I have done in the past. I want it to be something simple that I can easily operate from either side of the gate. And I think I have thought of something that will work. And as these things usually go, I think it's so much easier to just show you than try to explain it and then show you anyway. So let's get to it. This gate is 4 feet tall, and my plan is to put it a foot off the ground so that the top rail will be somewhere around 5 feet. It should be tall enough to deter any cattle from wanting to jump over it, we hope. But with all this in mind, I can figure out where I want the gate latch to be. It'd be nice to just kind of be at elbow height, so we'll figure out where that is. Okay, 2.5 feet from the bottom, and that should put my latch about where I want it. Cross. I'm gonna drill a hole right here. How did I know that was going to happen? Because it always happens. But it did. Holy smoke! That thing's a tank now. Whew. I'm just doing the exact same thing on the bottom. A lot of people are going to wonder, why didn't you just drill it all the way through? And I could have done that, but usually what happens when you're trying to do that with a hand drill is your top hole is perfect, but if you're not holding the drill perfectly plumb, which is difficult to do, then your bottom hole is going to be off, and then nothing's going to line up. So I actually have a lot better luck with measuring it out on both sides and drilling individual holes, and then just running the bit through both of them when I'm all done. So we got holes on both sides. Now we'll just run a bit all the way through just to make sure everything's lined up and that the pin will properly fit in there. What we got? Success. Thankfully, I can drill everything else on the drill press. Right there. And now I just got to do the same thing on this side. That part's done. Let's move on to the next part. All right, let's make sure everything's lining up here. Uh-oh. Problems. Well, there you go. That actually, I think, is going to work pretty good. What's nice about this, it doesn't take up a lot of room. There's no linkages or anything like that, like some of the other latches that I've made. Gravity just kind of holds it where it needs to stay, and I think it'll be strong enough. This is flat bar, but it's 1/2 inch thick, 2 inches wide. So I'm not saying it's impossible for a cow to bend that, but I don't think it's very likely. Now I do have this bolt sticking out here, and that will definitely go on the human side of the gate, because this would be a place where cattle could hurt themselves, scratch themselves, stuff we don't want. And then it will be easy to operate this latch from either side. Even when I have the sheeting on the gate, I won't have to like reach over the top or reach through to grab a handle. I'll just be able to pick up this side. If you were wondering why I welded those spacers on the gate frame itself, that was so that the latch would be 3 inches apart, because it's got to close on a 2 7/8 post. So I figured if it was 3 inches apart, that'd give us a little bit of wiggle room, and you can see as it works out, we've probably got more like a 1/4 inch of wiggle room, which is still fine. I think it turned out good. We won't know for sure until the gate's hanging up and we can actually, you know, swing it through its travel, try it out, see how everything works. But so far, everything's looking like I was kind of hoping it would. I was hoping I might get that gate welded up today, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. I think we can get it moved down to the ranch, and I can at least hang it with tie straps just to kind of see, make sure everything fits, make sure we're all good to go. But it's too late in the day to bother with bringing the welder down there and getting that all set up. So we'll do what we can. But that's about it. Oh, this thing is heavy. Well, that's basically the idea. I'll probably play with the height a little bit. It looks like it's probably a little bit too high right now, but I've got it hanging pretty level. So I want to try the latch, make sure that's all going to work, and then I'll just leave it hanging up here so when I come back with the welder, it's ready to go. Just like it was made for it. I was a little worried about this cross piece, this piece here, if it was going to hit the post when we were swinging, but no, there's all kinds of room. I don't really know what else to say about it. That's it. That's what I was shooting for. This turned out just like I hoped. And I really like this latch style. In fact, I might go ahead and implement that same style on this larger gate, just because any of these gates that I'm opening and closing all the time, I think that would be really nice. As opposed to this style latch, which is quite a bit more complicated and more prone to sticking, and you know, it needs a lot more lubrication and everything. These are good because they're strong. If a cow runs into this gate, this latch isn't gonna fail like this other one might. But I think for a gate that you're often opening and closing, this is going to be pretty tough to beat. I've built a lot of gates on this ranch, and I think pretty much every single one of them has a little bit different latch system, because I just have not yet found a design that I really like, but I think this might be it. Time will tell. I need to come down here and get all this hot wire put back up so we can move the cows. But if memory serves me, one of these hot wires is broken. I know it was this reel, but maybe I fixed it. I honestly don't remember now. It's been a while. Either way, let's go ahead and run down. Sometimes the posts come out, the wire comes off the post. We just got to look this over before the cows come down. This might be the only problem right here. Man, would you just look at all the feed out here. It's just unbelievable. I've never seen this pasture grow like this before. And I think this all goes back to waiting a little bit longer to put the cattle on it in the spring, just giving this grass a chance to take hold, and man, it has made a huge difference. Tight enough to get it off the ground, but not so tight that it's about to break. It's quite the balancing act, really. Did you guys find something good? No telling. Come, boss! I think that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.